Mad Max Fury Road. I really enjoyed Mad Max Fury Road. I think it's a great film, and I would definitely recommend it because it is so freakishly refreshing and that it is simply a good action movie. A lot of the stunts are practical, and a lot of everything is just jaw-dropping in how excellently it is shot, executed, and all of the above. I could use a bunch of terminology because I know terminology for cinema, but in general, it's just go see it if you're into action films. If you're not into action films, don't see it because all it is an action film. That's it. And that's what I want to talk about now, is that having now seen Mad Max and having watched the controversy on the internet about Mad Max, it's really interesting to compare the two and how sort of the film and the controversy and the everything, how it lines up and whatnot. There are other YouTubers out there that probably explain the whole situation better, so I'm not actually going to go into it. But for a while, there was a PR team that was trying to rev up the idea that Mad Max is a feminist film, partially because one of the a lady who was involved with the Vagina Monologues, I think possibly the lead writer or the writer of the Vagina Monologues, was involved in writing the film. And you can definitely feel an influence, but I would not call it a feminist influence. I think there's a huge mistake nowadays where people tend to equate any kind of good writing to being attached to a methodology or an ideology. And I don't feel that Mad Max was a film that had feminist themes. I feel like Mad Max is a film that was well written in a very balanced kind of way. I would almost say Mad Max is a beautifully gender neutral film in the sense that it doesn't really feel like it's very masculine or feminine. It feels very balanced in terms of presentation. And you might say, how can an action film be gender neutral in its presentation? And the way I would say that is that every character is competent. There isn't like, I don't know what to call it, the boobaloo character, the lady character that is there for you to stare at with long camera shots where they just pan over her figure. Basically, they took out sort of the Megan Fox element of the story. But it's not that there aren't pretty girls in it, it's just that there isn't a pretty girl who stands around with her mouth open. All the characters are very competently written, and the way I would describe that is that if a character's job is to be a mechanic, then they are an effective mechanic. There are no dumb, stupid, dumb luck characters, and by that, what I'm implying is the kinds of films where everyone is a rookie, they've never been in this kind of situation before, and yet they come out alive and on top and they've defeated the bad guy. Everyone in this film feels very weathered and sort of used to their environment, and they are competent in whatever their trade is. And if they are sort of a damsel in distress character, when push comes to shove, they will do something about that and they won't stand there and just die. And I really appreciated that. So again, is that feminist for characters to just be competent and not to be total idiots? I would argue no. What I would call a feminist film is something where there is a feminist message being pushed. Like, let's say it was a film about a very specific kind of torture or oppression that we already know to exist in the world and that is primarily targeted at women. Then I would call it a feminist film if it was about taking on that issue and defeating it, because clearly it's sort of a feminist fantasy. It's a fantasy of defeating a problem that women face. And I would consider that then a themed film, a film themed around feminism. Mad Max is not themed around anything. It is just a very basic story. And something which I wish I really knew right now, which I don't, is there is some kind of cinematic terminology for the style of writing in this film, for the storytelling element that I really enjoyed, and that shares a lot of traits of the first Jurassic Park movie, in that there is a lot that is left not directly explained to the viewer. There is a lot of exposition missing on purpose. A lot of the film's dialogue is purposely information rich. And if you really listen to characters chattering back and forth about each other, everything they're saying is very meaningful to the situation, to their predicament, and to the world setting. And I like that kind of storytelling versus a sort of narrating moment where a character sits down, looks at the audience, and then tells the audience exactly what's going on in this place. I would much rather have a few characters babbling in the foreground or the background while something is happening, and I can choose to either listen in or pay attention to the action on screen. I would give this film a 10 out of 10 based on its just delivering exactly what it says it is going to deliver. And I think that's something that we really need to appreciate in media in general, is when something sets out to accomplish something and it accomplishes that and it does it well and it's like a good quality work. And even if that isn't really deep or meaningful, I think that's something in and of itself, because we're facing this horrible problem lately in media in general where there are video games coming out unfinished, there are movies that are coming out that really drop and fall apart at some point in the plot line, or they just don't really deliver what the trailer was suggesting. And I love that MadMax set out to do something, they made sure it was simple, they got it done, and it was a fun ride, and I would definitely recommend it. Plus, old granny shooting biker gang guys out of the sky with a sniper rifle, or was it a hunting rifle? I don't know my guns, but I thought that was cool. So that's my review of this film, and I tried to film it really fast, and I think I got it done pretty well. Comment below if you think it was a good way for me to review films, or if you'd like me to slow down, or you'd like me to be more meticulous, or if you like me trying to push myself to be fast like this so that I get it done in under 10 minutes. Thank you for watching. I love criticism. Don't be afraid to criticize me. Bye.